The Florida vote is tomorrow, and Willard is surging. The only problem, he's got a mutiny on his hands. Poll after poll shows Romney leading Newt by double digits. He leads Newt by 14 points in one. He's up by 15 in yet another. And a third one, released just this afternoon, shows him in a commanding 20-point lead over Gingrich. And on the trail, hundreds of people are actually turning out for Romney events. This looks like smooth sailing. This looks like he's got Florida locked up. Too bad Newton Leroy Gingrich hasn't gotten the message. Or should I say, is ignoring the message.
We will go all the way to the convention. I believe the Republican Party will not nominate a pro-abortion, pro-gun control, pro-tax increase moderate from Massachusetts. This is going to be a straight-out contest for the next 4 or 5 months.
4 or 5 more months? Wow. Well, get ready, folks. Looks like we're going to be seeing a lot more of this.
I know the speaker's not real happy, Speaker Gingrich. He's not feeling very excited these days. I know, it's sad.
He has a basic policy of carpet bombing his opponent. I give Governor Romney's campaign due respect for the sheer volume of negativity that they use.
Speaker Gingrich said that threw him off. He can't debate before a quiet audience. Then the next audience was very loud. And he said that threw him off. He can't debate before a real loud audience.
Governor Romney's just plain not telling the truth. You cannot get to be president if you don't have the courage to tell the truth to the American people.
The idea of the moon as the 51st state is not what would have come to my mind as a campaign basis for here in Florida.
Keep it up, fellas. You're doing the Democrats' jobs for them. Joining me now, Bob Shrum, Democratic strategist and a professor at NYU, and Dana Milbank, political columnist for the Washington Post. He joins us by phone from the Gingrich campaign bus. Thanks to both of you for being on the show tonight.
Happy to be here.
My pleasure, Reverend.
Now, tonight, Bob, let me start with you. In your mind, what is the significance of all this Republican infighting?
Oh, I think it's damaged Romney a lot. If you look at what's happened in your NBC poll, he's now behind the president. He's losing ground with independents in terms of favorability. In the NBC Marist poll, he's losing Florida to the president. Part of that is that the economy is getting better. But part of that is that this process has put Romney on the wrong side of the great dividing line in American politics. He now looks not only like the face of the GOP establishment, he looks like the face of unfairness in America. He's become a proof point for the president's message. So I think he's taken on a lot of water, and if this thing drags out for another couple of months, he'll take on even more.
Now, as he continues to sustain these attacks from Gingrich, he continues to be hit with things that are coming out about him, despite the fact that he is clearly leading into just about every poll in Florida. You still have to deal with the fact, and that he cannot get away with, that his negatives are higher than his positives, which really raises the question of electability. Bob, I'm talking to you.
Oh, well, you're absolutely right. Look, what's happened here in Florida, and it happened in Iowa as well, is that the Romney campaign saw a big threat, so they dropped an atom bomb on Gingrich, all of these negative ads. It's worked. I think that Romney's probably going to win this big. We'd be very surprised if he didn't. But it's also illustrated that the establishment of the Republican Party, when it really wants to and gets behind somebody, can do great damage to the other guy. And it's indicated the relative powerlessness of the right in the Republican Party. They may be able to dictate the platform. They can't pick the nominee. And in this whole process, this scrum as it goes on, I think Romney's going to take on more and more negatives.
Now, let me ask you this. Romney has outspent Gingrich 4-1 in Florida. Can Gingrich withstand a race where this plays out in state after state?
Well, look, here's how Gingrich survives. It's the only way he survives. Let's say he has enough money to get through February and get to those contests in early March, wins the South, almost all of it, and wins Texas. What happens then? He has something we've never seen in American politics. He has kind of a third comeback. But he then has to go to a big state where all the resources and all the attention are concentrated for a week or 2 weeks, like Ohio or Pennsylvania or California. And the Gingrich campaign once again faces a 5-to-1 disparity with Romney. He once again has all of these attacks directed at him. And he once again, at least on the evidence, falls apart. I don't think at that point he has a fourth comeback, but you end up with a Republican Party where there's a lot of anger and a lot of division because Romney is headed toward a very begrudged nomination.
Now, Dana, we've got you off the bus in front of a camera at a Gingrich event. And let me ask you, you've been with Newt Gingrich all day. Let me just ask you candidly, is this personal? I mean, it seems like Leroy Gingrich is saying no matter what, he's digging in. Is this personal? Is this strategic? Does he think down the road he can pick up some southern states he's favored in Super Tuesday? I mean, what's happening here?
Well, Reverend, I've always thought with Newt Gingrich it was more about ego than anything else. But what we're seeing here in this final active day of campaigning here is nothing short of scorched earth. He has been basically using all these sort of anti-Mormon dog whistles, suggesting that Romney is anti-Jewish, that Romney is anti-Catholic. We've also had him just randomly making up things. Newt announced to a crowd in Tampa, I was just there a couple of hours ago, he said, there's a brand new poll out that says that we're all even. It turns out this was a poll that was released on Friday from polling done several days before that. There's a lot of flailing going on, which is, of course, what the Romney camp is saying. But it's more than just flailing because he is leaving lasting impressions in the minds of voters here. If he loses, as all people expect he will tomorrow, he does have the capacity to go on and continue to pull away delegates in the coming stops.
So, Dana, wait a minute. Let me stop you right there. I want to ask you something. Are you saying that you're hearing some blatant anti-Mormon language now out of Newt Gingrich?
No, I said they're dog whistles, Reverend. When he's getting up there and saying, talking about how Romney has been taking away the kosher meals from Jewish residents of Massachusetts, when he's talking about anti-Catholic positions that he's taken in health care. He's been doing that sort of thing. He got up earlier today in a similar vein and said it's time to send a message to George Soros and Goldman Sachs and the New York establishment. That it's money power doesn't matter, and it's time to bring back the people power. Many people would hear that as a dog whistle as well.
Now, let me ask you this, Dana, while we're on Newt Gingrich. He's making a case politically that 95% of the delegates still won't be selected even after Florida. That there will only be up to and including Florida, only 115 out of 288 delegates. Is that argument that will resonate with voters around the country as they continue the Republican primary road trip, as one would call it?
Let's think of how well that worked for Hillary Clinton. I mean, it kept her in the race for a long time after many people thought she had no opportunity there and had to drop out. She persisted with it. By the same way, Newt can continue in this. He probably won't have the same sort of funding that she had, so he'll become less and less relevant. He's not even taking press on his airplane anymore. That's why we're hauling around after him in a bus right now. Does not have a lot of money coming in. Does not have a lot of support out there. The crowds are small. The press corps is thin.
Now, Bob, over the weekend, Mr. Gingrich somewhat received the support of Sarah Palin. And, well, she at least came to his defense. And he received the outright endorsement of Herman Cain. Does these two things help him or hurt him?
Oh, I don't think they hurt him, even though there's some polling data that suggests that Kane's endorsement is anything but is clearly a mixed blessing. Look, what's happened here is there's a lot of resentment in the Republican Party, on the right, among the Tea Party types. There's a lot of resistance to Romney. The establishment decided he is the only acceptable candidate, and you saw everybody unite this week to trash Gingrich. It wasn't just the ads. It was every single commentator. It was commentators who had previously expressed big doubts about Romney. That's what they think they have to do. And I'm sure Dana, when he looks at these smaller crowds, he's seeing the effect of that in the advertising every time he gets off that bus.
Dana, Jeb Bush, who is extremely popular, I'm told, among Republicans in Florida, won't make an endorsement. In a big article today, it says that it has not been for the lack of effort by Mr. Romney, who has made phone calls, traded emails, and met privately, trying to win over Mr. Bush.
Yeah.
The campaign was poised to make him a national co-chair, but several Republicans familiar with the offer say it was declined. He even showed up with his dad to meet with President Obama Friday night. What message is Jeb Bush sending?
I think the message here, Reverend, is that Jeb Bush is a very smart politician who still believes that he has a political future here. So is he going to go out and endorse Mitt Romney, who may wind up disappointing a lot of conservatives down the road? If Romney, as he believes, is going to win the nomination anyway, there's not a whole lot of upside for him in doing that. And if Romney eventually disappoints the conservative, they can't turn around and blame Jeb Bush. So I think he's looking out for himself. You know, let them slug it out in this ugly way that they're doing down here.
Bob, you've run a lot of campaigns. Quickly as you can, give me an answer, almost a yes or no. Gingrich stays in, he loses by double digit. Is the longer he stay in more helpful to President Obama, or is he getting Mr. Willard Romney toughen up for the fight that'll help him with Obama?
Yeah, Romney is not being battle-tested in this. He's being wounded. The longer Newt stays in, the tougher it is for Romney.
All right, Bob Shrum, Dana Milbank,
Thank you.
thanks to both of you for joining me this evening.
Trevor.